If you're renting in Toronto or thinking about renting, this video is for you because while rents have come down across the city, the rental market is still incredibly active, and the data from 2025 tells a really interesting story about where things are heading next. Today, I'm breaking down what's actually happening in Toronto's rental market, why rentals officially outpaced sales last year, what rents are doing by unit type, and what all of this means for you as a prospective tenant. My name is Trey, and I'm an active realtor here in the city who loves making educational content for first-time homebuyers, renters, and those simply looking to buy, sell, or rent here in our amazing city in the GTA. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you find value from videos like this. And if you would like to see how we may be able to work together, please use that first link down in the description below to book a time to chat. Now, let's get into it. Let's start with the demand side of things because this is where the story really begins. I've pulled all of my data from the Habistat, and it shows that demand for condo apartment rentals across the GTA came in at 72,000 units in 2025. Compare that to 2024 when rental demand sat at 61,000 units. So this gives us an 18% increase year over year, which is a pretty big jump, right? This shows a meaningful shift in consumer behavior, with far more people choosing or being forced to rent rather than to buy right now. This has been an ongoing trend over the past couple of years. If you look at my screen, you can see that total real estate transactions in 2025, including both rentals and sales, reached roughly 134,500 units. That breaks down to 72,000 rentals and 62,400 sales. In 2024, total transactions were slightly lower at 131,406 units, and in 2023, they were even lower at 120,000 units. The thing that is pretty crazy here is that 2025 was the first time in the past 2 years where rentals actually outpaced the number of sales. That alone tells us a lot about consumer confidence and where people are financially right now. If you're not extremely secure financially and with your job situation, it's clear that people are choosing renting over buying right now. However, rents today are still higher than pre-pandemic levels. If you have a look at my screen here, you'll see that back in January 2018, average rents were hovering around the 1950 mark. Things slowly increased over time. As you can see, where we're at today is roughly equivalent to where rents sat in September 2019. So it's clear the fluff has come off from 2023 and 2024, but prices are still relatively pretty high right now. When we break things down by unit type using December 2025 data for the city of Toronto, one-bedroom apartments average roughly $2,190 per month. That represents a 2.4% decline month over month and a 3.5% drop compared to the same time last year. One-bedroom units have felt the most pressure and were the most affected as new supply continues to hit our market. Two-bedroom units were more stable. In December 2025, the average rent for a two-bedroom apartment came in at $2,690 per month. That's down about 0.8% month over month and 2.3% year over year. Three-bedroom units followed a pretty similar pattern, averaging approximately $3,594 per month to close out this year, with rents being down 1.7% both month over month and year over year. Larger units are holding up better, but even they're no longer immune to softening conditions. I want to go over why all of this is happening right now. First, the cost of ownership is definitely better than what it was in 2023 and 2024, but it's still quite high for most people. Secondly, with inflation pushing up the cost of food and pretty much everything else in daily life, saving for a down payment has become increasingly difficult. That's the biggest hurdle for first-time home buyers that I'm seeing in my business every single day. When you factor in mortgage payments, property taxes, condo fees, insurance, and maintenance, the gap between renting and owning has actually gotten a lot closer in recent months. But we also have to remember that buying a home is as much an emotional decision as it is a financial one. And in 2025, many consumers chose the flexibility route. Renting allows people to wait and see what happens in the world rather than locking themselves into a longer term obligation. Third, we saw and are continuing to see changes on the population side of things. Canada has significantly reduced the number of new international study permits. In 2025, roughly 306,000 new permits were issued. For 2026, that number has been cut to about 155,000 permits. That's nearly a 50% drop year over year. That means fewer new students are arriving, putting less pressure on the rental market. At the same time, supply increased. A large wave of condo completions were delivered across Toronto, particularly in downtown Toronto. Urbanation reported that about 29,300 condo units were completed in the year 2025, which is nearly equal to the record high seen in 2024 and roughly 50% above the 10-year average for completions. Now, this will naturally create competition among landlords in these buildings, forcing them to make prices more attractive and potentially offer incentives, something tenants haven't experienced much over the past few years. So this is a really good thing if you're a renter right now. Looking ahead, I personally believe that the rental market will continue to cool. More condo supply is coming online, ownership costs remain elevated, and tenants finally have a little more leverage at this stage of the game. This doesn't mean that rents are about to fall off a cliff, but it does suggest a more balanced and tenant-friendly environment moving forward. So what does all of this mean for you if you're a tenant? First, you have more choice, and that alone is very powerful. You may be able to move into a better location, upgrade your unit, or even reduce the monthly rent compared to what you're paying right now. If you've been overpaying, this could be your opportunity for a reset. And at the same time, don't confuse more choice with lower standards. Your application still needs to be strong and organized, clean documents, solid credit, clear employment verification, references ready to go, everything. Presentation matters. Always ask yourself, if I were the landlord, would I rent to myself? And if the honest answer is that somebody else might look stronger on paper, make the adjustments needed to get on their level. In a competitive market, landlords still choose the path of least resistance, and professionalism goes a long way. I hope that you found value in this video today, and if you did, please be sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss educational market updates like this one. We'll see you soon.